Hey there, welcome. Today, we're diving into one of those topics that sounds super technical, but is actually really cool once you break it down. We're talking about DRAM versus SRAM, two types of memory that your computer uses every single day. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what they are, how they work, why they're different, and where your computer uses each one. Let's go. Alright, so first, where do these things actually live? If you've ever opened a desktop PC, you've probably seen those long green sticks plugged into the motherboard. That's your RAM, and it's made of DRAM. But there's another type of memory hiding inside your CPU chip itself. That's SRAM. Both store data, but they do it in completely different ways. Let's start with the big question. How do they actually store a single bit of data? DRAM uses the simplest possible design. Just one tiny transistor and one capacitor. Think of the capacitor like a tiny cup that holds a charge. One charge means 1, no charge means 0. Simple, compact, and incredibly cheap to manufacture. SRAM, on the other hand, uses 6 transistors to store a single bit. They're wired in a special pattern called a flip-flop or latch. More complex, but that complexity comes with major advantages. Now here's something really important to understand about DRAM. It has a leaky bucket problem. Remember that tiny capacitor storing your bit? It doesn't hold the charge forever. It constantly leaks. So the memory controller has to come back every single 64 milliseconds and recharge, or refresh, every single capacitor in the chip. That's millions of refreshes happening constantly in the background while you use your computer. It adds delay, it uses power, but because the cell design is so cheap, we live with it. SRAM doesn't have this problem at all. Because it uses a flip-flop latch instead of a capacitor, the data is held using the state of the transistors themselves. As long as there's power, the data just stays there, rock solid, no refresh needed. That's why SRAM can respond so much faster. No waiting around for a refresh cycle, the data is always right there, ready to go. And speaking of speed, this is where things get really interesting. The access time for SRAM is roughly 1 nanosecond or less. For DRAM, you're looking at 10 to 60 nanoseconds. That might not sound like much, but your CPU runs billions of operations per second. If it had to wait on DRAM for every single instruction, it would be sitting idle most of the time. That speed gap is exactly why we need both types of memory working together. But speed comes at a cost, literally. SRAM is significantly more expensive per bit than DRAM. Because each SRAM cell uses 6 transistors instead of 1, you can't pack as many cells onto the same chip area. DRAM can fit billions of bits onto a single chip at a very low cost. That's why your laptop has 8, 16, or even 64 gigabytes of DRAM as system RAM, but only a few megabytes of SRAM as CPU cache. And that brings us to density. Think of a DRAM chip like a massive warehouse, enormous, capable of storing huge amounts of data, but it takes time to find what you need. SRAM is more like a small, perfectly organized desk. Tiny, but you can grab anything off it instantly. Same physical chip area, but DRAM fits way more bits because each cell is so much smaller. What about power consumption? This one's interesting. DRAM actually uses more power than you might expect because all those refresh cycles constantly drain energy, even when you're not actively reading or writing data. SRAM doesn't need those refresh pulses, so it's more efficient when idle. That's a big deal for mobile devices and embedded systems where battery life matters. So where exactly does each type get used? Here's the practical picture. Your computer's main RAM, that 8 or 16 gigabyte stick, is DRAM. Your GPU's video memory is also DRAM. But inside your CPU, there are multiple layers of cache memory, called L1, L2, and L3, and all of those are SRAM. There's also tiny amounts of SRAM inside microcontrollers and embedded devices everywhere around you. Let's talk about that CPU cache for a second, because it's really fascinating. Your CPU doesn't work directly with the main RAM all the time. That would be way too slow. Instead, it keeps a small amount of frequently used data in its cache. L1 cache is the fastest and smallest, typically around 32 kilobytes per core. L2 is a bit bigger and slightly slower. L3 is shared across all cores and can be 8 to 32 megabytes. All of these are SRAM. Here's a great analogy to make this click. Imagine you're studying in a massive library. That's your DRAM. Finding a book takes time. You have to walk through the stacks, search the catalog, bring it back. Now imagine you've pulled out the 3 or 4 books you use most often and put them on your personal desk. That desk is your SRAM cache. You can grab those books instantly without going anywhere. Your CPU does exactly the same thing. It pulls the most used data from slow RAM into fast cache. Here's something that surprises a lot of people. Both DRAM and SRAM are volatile. That means when the power goes off, all the data is gone. Poof. Neither one is permanent storage. That's the job of your SSD or hard drive, which use completely different technology to keep data safe even without power. RAM and cache are just the fast working memory your CPU uses while it's actively running. Let's take a deeper look at that DRAM refresh cycle, because it actually affects performance more than people realize. Every 64 milliseconds, the memory controller has to pause normal operations and refresh millions of capacitors. During those refresh windows, the CPU can't access that part of DRAM. It's a tiny delay, but at modern speeds, even tiny delays matter. Engineers spend a lot of effort hiding these refresh pauses from the CPU. DRAM has also evolved dramatically over the years. You've probably heard terms like DDR4 or DDR5. DDR stands for double data rate. It's how DRAM transfers data on both the rising and falling edge of the clock signal, effectively doubling the bandwidth. The evolution from SDRAM in the 90s to DDR5 today has been about squeezing more speed out of the same basic capacitor plus transistor design. All still fundamentally DRAM, just getting faster and more efficient with each generation. Now, let's look inside a CPU chip itself. If you could zoom into a modern processor with a microscope, you'd see that a huge portion of the chip area is dedicated to SRAM. The cache regions are literally baked into the processor die. There's no separate chip, no cable connecting them. The SRAM is right there, physically adjacent to the CPU cores. That's another huge reason it's so fast. The data doesn't have to travel far at all. Looking at a full side-by-side comparison, DRAM gives you high density, low cost, moderate speed, but needs constant refresh. SRAM gives you extreme speed, no refresh, but at much lower density and much higher cost. They're not competing for the same job. They're partners, each doing what it does best in your system. SRAM also shows up in lots of places you might not expect. Microcontrollers, like the ones in Arduino boards or washing machine controllers, often have a few kilobytes of SRAM built right in for temporary data storage. Smartphones use a low-power variant of DRAM called LPDDR for their main memory. Smartwatches use tiny SRAM registers. Even your router has SRAM inside it for fast packet processing. So, which one should you care about? If you're building or buying a PC, more DRAM, more RAM, means your computer can handle more programs and larger files without slowing down. If you're comparing CPUs, a larger L3 cache, more SRAM, means the processor can keep more data close at hand and run faster on real workloads. Both specs matter, just for different reasons. All right, you made it. Let's recap. DRAM uses 1 transistor plus 1 capacitor per bit. Cheap, dense, but needs constant refresh. SRAM uses 6 transistors in a latch. Fast, no refresh, but expensive. DRAM is your system RAM. SRAM is your CPU cache. Both lose data when power is cut, and both are absolutely essential to how modern computers work. You now know DRAM versus SRAM. Great job, and I'll see you in the next one.